Video 140. March 13, 2016. At this meeting will be answered by Mythi the questions chosen by the members of our chat. Mythi, what really is the percentage of the universe covered currently by the galactic communities together? Okay, I'll give you friends a very rough idea of the extent of what is known. I had already given some data previously, but sometimes I speak very directly and forget to explain in more detail some previous statements. You call this partially known region named LaniakeaSupercluster. This supercluster includes 112,849 galaxies, including our two naturally. Can you imagine that? Of all these galaxies, only 8% are part of the network covered by the Community Galactica. With 1,593,026,498 planets affiliate today. When I said that 4/5 of our known universe is still unexplored, I meant exactly that. We know 1/5 of this Laniakea supercluster, the rest is still unexplored. Understand that only this region covers an area of 542 billion of your measured in light years. An incredibly large area up to today's standards. We estimate be able to catalog and explore the brand 2/5 of the region in the next 20,000 years. As you can see, even the union of all 1,327,528 galactic communities represents something very small and insignificant compared to the universe as a whole. I hope to have better clarified this point for you, showing how all of us are still very small. Totter asks, Mythi, you have been communicating with CB for over 5 years now. You answered us hundreds of questions, but is there a question that you have always hoped we would ask you and we have never asked you? If there is such, what is it? Totter, if I said what should have been asked, I would be inducing. One person asks when is ready to hear the answers. Many questions will come, but it has to come from you, if not would not have the validity that I hope they have. I will continue patiently waiting for more and more pertinent questions. I hope I answered your interesting question. Degas asks, Mythi, how are the counterweights progressing in our solar system and specifically with Earth/Tiamat? Will you, if you know and are allowed, give us a rough estimation on how long it will take for the pole shift to fully occur? C. Degas, orbital calculations of counterweights is an internal matter of Crowleyans and scientists from the CG. The counterweight that keeps your axis is systematically being removed, and you may notice the climate and behavioral changes in various regions causing undesirable consequences for the population. I believe the slowness of the process is to give the necessary recovery time or abandonment of these areas, giving greater chance of survival for those groups most affected. If the facts happen quickly, there would be no salvation for many people in the regions that would become uninhabitable from 1 hour to another. With the removal of the counterweight to the south, the axial balance of the planet will increase in due proportion to the point that the planet definitely straying to the new position, which may occur during this year probably. Kelly asks, what is the architecture that CB mentioned that's still causing effects after a demon, low vibrational soul, was removed from a person? How long will it carry on, and is there anything to stop the architecture? Also, how did you place a chi field around person involved? Kelly, there are no demons, there are black roses. People like you, only that they have given up the possibility of rising, knowing that the path would be too long. So prefer to get used to the shadows rather than seeking the light. If you are weak and being influenced by any aura of shadows, a person with more light can simply lend energy to your aura, making it brighter, and this will discourage the black aura that will look for another person in a position to be the victim of his vampirism. There are no architectures. There are more or less sensitive spots like scars caused, but they disappear quickly, so the black aura is removed by light. When you mention chi field, understand that what a more enlightened person does is simply light your candle. You even create your protective field or chi with the light that will be starting from the candle be lit. The best way to remain isolated from bad energy sources without relying on others is increasing your own light. Tanya asks, Dear Mythi, reading your messages, I'm trying to imagine the unimaginable. How much resources are spent? How many ships engaged and how many races involved in helping our colony? Do you realize that not many Earthlings are even aware of your existence or that you are helping? All is taken for granted here by our people, forces of nature. I wonder if you or some people from other crews ever have despair, doubts about us? Do you ever think that we are ungrateful and not worthy of your efforts? Tanya, when you take your small and helpless child to a nursery school to go to work, you know that there will be experienced people to monitor his activity. As they grow older, you will do whatever it takes so that they have the necessary attention to develop satisfactorily. Many children do not understand that all parents want is their good and become rebellious. And most do not realize how much time was devoted to them by their parents. The difference is that we do not expect recognition, we do what we propose to do for the growth of all and the consequent rise of intelligent life around us. All affiliates races of all galactic communities thicken the new colony's supervision teams. Like a big red cross that has several levels of action from teams level 1 to the high-level teams like the Crowleans. Many times, around 140 them, turns his missions between 2 or 3 colonies at the same time. Varying depending on the events planned for each, the teams focus more on one or the other at certain times. Currently 320 ships are on average every day in your solar system, excluding commercial ships and probes. Price asks, Mythi, you have told us about sentient dolphins, reptilians, and insectoids. Are there races of cats, pigs, birds, or other advanced races that are not human as we think of the term? Price, I have already answered this question before, but in case it was not clear, yes. There are many experiences in ancient times. Reptiles, insects and mammals of different species have always been used. Focusing on their physical qualities and mental manipulation possibilities of science and technology. Many worked and others have proved inadequate, generating breeds with slow or no development. We have catalogued over 250 developing sources in case of mammals, including apes, cats, swine, marine mammals. In the case of reptiles, there are 20 major sources including terrestrial and amphibian species. In the case of insectoid, many species have been developed to work and after replacing the work insectoid. By technology, these races continue their slow development to date, and are difficult relationship with the other races. Birds were not used by the brain inadequacy and their physical limitations. Julian asks, I would like to ask Mythi about the music scale. Some people said the current scale hertz was tampered to create disharmony to the listener. Can CB ask about this? Also, if it is, which is the correct musical scale? Julian, musical scale is like an alphabet. In the case of notes used by you are linear increases in any scale. In the case of sound, your devices also started to generate electronically nonlinear, logarithmic scales, which can be assimilated with the sound that many breeds used to produce music of various kinds of nuances and uses. The frequencies used in these scales vary from race to race, depends on the propagation environment, hearing ability, etc. I can tell you from experience that if you hear a song of Arcturians would not like the chirping sound, which for them is very beautiful. In terms of music there is no perfect. It is always a matter of adaptation. Mild asks, I would like to ask Mythi if there is any place on Earth that he has landed that reminded him of home, and what was it about the place that he liked the most? Mild, there are many beautiful places here. Many clearings between rivers and lakes in your forests, mostly untouched by your civilization, that remind me of places in my planets. Islands of your oceans and uninhabited continental coasts also keep lush and beautiful nature. Very difficult to pinpoint only one site among many beautiful places that exist on this planet. From deserts to forests and oceanic areas, all of them have beautiful aspects depending on how you look at them. Kelly and Ro ask, Mythi, does CB have DNA from a specific alien race? Are you related in any way? Sitka, a planet in your solar system, is also the name of a town in Alaska. Is this coincidence? What people or region on Earth today would you consider descendants or related to your place of origin? Kelly and Ro on CB, what I can say, he has a DNA derived from a very ugly race of the Pleiades. We have no relation between our races. There are over 200 years our teams have been in contact with Russian groups in the region that were isolated by cold. Names maybe have been mentioned, and this may have suggestible someone to give that name to a new village. About descendants, no, we do not have descendants in this system, but in the future there may be possibilities. Degas asks, Mythi, does the elements of the galactic community responsible for monitoring this society record specific circumstance regarding the death of each and every person? If the answer is yes, will this information be available in archives when our society is allowed access? Degas, no, we do not monitor that level. The only ones who monitor the life cycle of each of the planets are the blue beings responsible for that planet. But there are many facts about regional events involving persons or groups of persons who may be in the regional CG proceedings. It may be that a lot can be searched there. Urosh ask, in a mission Apollo 20, the supposed participant was a Russian cosmonaut Alexei Leonov, which is still alive and quite well. In a testimony of the flight they mentioned a kind of protective sleeping bag, which they used to pass Van Allen belt, as a consequence of devastating radiations received during previous missions. Can you tell us, dear friend, was he and other two participants really present in this flight? Or were they, as before, just a visible part of that mission? Even the mission is still today not recognized by NASA. Or were they maybe in cooperation with reptilians getting some better protection in this flight? Urosh, the crew of the mission called by you friends Apollo 20 was the last. It was when they took possession of biological material and technological equipment on the Moon. This crew was the one who went and returned to Earth. After a while only the woman did not resist. They used experimentally receptacles laminated bimetallic, the inner side lead foil and the external gold leaf. The gold leaf was grounded outside the ship's fuselage by a connection cable to allow the radiation. Only circulate the outside of the receptacle holding them protected inside. Nevertheless, they took baking soda for the remainder of life to reduce radiation effects and prevent cancer. When I recommended that you friends take baking soda was not only the case of cancer. Reading CB's note below, you friends will understand the extent of my advice. CB will finalize this answer with some characteristics that I believe you already know about baking soda. Used by astronauts long ago in the military until nowadays. Okay, here is CB with my observation. Baking soda is so powerful in curing radiation contamination that at Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, researcher Don York has used baking soda to clean soil contaminated with uranium. Sodium bicarbonate binds with uranium, separating it from the dirt. So far, York has removed as much as 92% of the uranium from contaminated soil samples. Still not convinced? Would it help to know that the United States Army recommends the use of baking soda to protect the kidneys from radiation damage? If you were diagnosed with mouth or throat cancer, and you were subjected to deadly radiation treatments, gargling with baking soda mixed in water will help neutralize the radiation. If you suffer exposures to radioactive clouds, put half cup of marine salt plus half cup baking soda in a bucket of water and wash the body with the mixture. This will extract radioactive elements of the skin. In addition, baking soda makes the blood alkaline pH, preventing the proliferation of microorganisms and nanocomposites which require acidity to breed or to operate electrically. 1 teaspoon dissolved in a glass of water a day is enough. Cheers! Friends, now more than ever to keep your close attention on acts of your governments to stagnate the economy for the creation of social chaos, and attention to the climate change on your planet. A lot is being done to counteract measures of your elites. Competent Pleiadians teams are infiltrated in various areas to try to minimize acts and influence people. Much is being done behind the scenes without you friends are aware of it. Be well and with the light all of you.